I'm about that. Cause I'm about that. I'm about that come up, running up on them fools that are talking foolish. Try to get them funds up, killing the mics just like I ran the jewels in. Y'all gonna get done up front, knowing that kid with an attitude, but you can't really blame his motherfucker for what he had to do. I'm about that cash flipping, I'm getting it on and off the market. Not about that VIP, not me, not never been a fan of carpet. All about that RIP for all of my Jesus gone departed. All about that finish what I started, I'm about that.
Top down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night. Top down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night.
Nothing about it, want a man I can bring the drama. But it ain't by chance, I'm fucking rapping, you don't really want a problem. Made a little cash in the back end, but still rapping, they call me starving. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna ask who the man is, hope I'm gonna be like, beg your pardon. I'm about that.
Top down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night. Top down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yokui coming at you from Sweet Bee in Stream City, USA. We've also got Mac, EB, Quinn from the G. Burbick Farm Studios, and Richie from home as well. Hey, let's get Ty in here. Coming in a little bit, a little late to the show. That's okay, though. That's all are welcome at all times. We've seen Jeff Bezos roll in about 46 minutes late at points. So, hey, if you're on Bezos time, you're 45 minutes ahead, Ty.
Glad to hear it.
What's going on today, boys? Anything good?
Enjoying the weather, man.
Yeah, I know Jamie's out on the links today. He said he couldn't make the power hour because this is going to be the last nice day in the Buckeye State for, until spring training. So hope everybody can get out and enjoy it at least a little bit. Today is National Forget Me Not Day. So my question to you guys is, has there ever been a point in time where you forgot somebody or something that you probably shouldn't have and it cost you dearly? Mac, we'll start with you.
I can't remember a time where I forgot anybody intentionally, like a Home Alone issue. That would be crazy to forget, like your own child or something. I'm sure somebody has done it through an amusement park or time or another. Just because when I was working a different job and I had different responsibilities, I remember going from in Newton Falls, we had a 4th of July festival every year, and I would run from missing kid to missing kid and report them. So I do know that it exists, but I can't remember a time for me, though.
Have you ever forgot something like a birthday or anything for Kate that came back to bite you?
No, you don't miss those things.
Attaboy. EV, Forget Me Not Day. What's the worst thing you've ever forgot?
I can't say that I've forgotten a person, but I'm pretty notorious anymore about forgetting birthdays, especially nieces, nephews, sisters. There's too many of them anymore, and then being busy with basketball or tournaments or whatnot, I need a personal assistant or calendar. I should probably be better at it, but really, I guess I'm going to throw it under I'm just being a typical guy card.
Ty, have you ever forgot anybody or anything that you regretted instantly?
No, not really. I mean, I might be directionally challenged, but one of the things that I'm really good at is memory. I'm usually on top of things, especially like the important things as far as remembering them. As far as if I've forgotten anything, I think like probably the biggest thing I probably ever forgot to do is probably like an assignment or two since I've been in college. But I mean, other than that, no, as far as like birthdays and stuff like that, I'm usually on top of that kind of stuff.
That's not too bad then. Let's go to the guru of never forgetting anything. He is he is the Google Assistant. He is Quinn Pushkar. Quinn, what do you got?
Yeah, I usually remember a lot of things, but I'd have to go probably birthdays of like cousins and distant family members. Like I I can't remember it all.
Not a date guy.
No, I could remember like immediate family birthdays and stuff like that, but outside of that, not a chance.
All right, Richie, it's up to you. What have you forgot?
So forgot my cleats one time playing baseball at a travel baseball tournament. We're about an hour into the trip. It kind of came to me that I was wearing shoes, and I looked at my backpack. I'm like, shoot, because I used to hang my cleats on both bats. So I look back. I'm like, oh boy, like I don't see my cleats hanging up, and I forgot them at home. I called my brother. I'm like, do you have my cleats there? I hope. He's like, yeah. So I'm like, all right. I played a doubleheader in my shoes. So that was something I forgot, and ultimately wish that I could go back in time and grab them, because I heard it from both my coach and my mom. So that was not a good day for me.
That's a bad scenario. That's not the first time that's ever happened. You were playing in sneakers?
Yeah, pretty much. I was playing like Nike free runs.
I got one. I actually remember now because I forgot that I forgot. So last year, I went down to Nashville for the College Coaches Convention, and went with YSU and Coach Emil Bertolini with Astro. And on our way down there, Coach Danny Bertolini goes, "Hey, check all your stuff. Make sure you got all the invitations to go down there." Well, I forgot to register. So we're already in Tennessee at this point. We're basically, a half hour away from Nashville. And I text Kate, and I'm like, I don't know what happened. I didn't finish the registration. I have no idea how I'm going to get into this place. I'm sure they're going to let me in and I'll hang out. It'd be a great time, but I can't get into anything. So luckily she calls Matt Madrid, who's a big guy at IMG, and he hooked me up with some passes to get in because he was going to be there. And I was an affiliate of IMG that weekend instead of Astro baseball. So,
for ours, naturally, I always forget like a cord or something, especially when people don't let me set up or tear down or pick up on my own, Jeff. But the biggest faux pas, I should say, is the girls started preschool this year, and I'm used to, dropping them off and then going doing my thing, and completely, probably 4 weeks into it, completely forgot that I had to pick them up from school. So they were just kind of chilling there. Luckily, one of the coolest teachers there is a friend of ours, and she was like, "Oh, don't worry, Daddy just got caught behind a train." Daddy was gunning it over the bridge, looking like Dukes of Hazzard in the RAV4. So that is the worst forgetful moment I've ever had. And now that it's public, please don't prosecute me for it. So, but the girls are fine. They were great. They got McDonald's like 6 Happy Meals that day with all the toys and stuff. So it all turned out.
I believe that every parent has done that a time or two.
It's just there's days where it just goes so fast. You know what I mean? There's days that it's forever, but hey.
Because even as a coach, like I've waited hours. I'm sure EB and Quinn have done. I've waited, it seemed like hours for kids that are like, "Oh, we just forgot that practice was over." Like that, I'm sure that's happened.
Bill just conveniently forgets the events I tell him we have to go to. Everything else he's very good at. So there you go. It's a compliment and a little bit of a slight, but as long as it's coming from the significant other, it works. What was Sunday, Ty?
He thinks I forgot this. I didn't. It was my parents' 34th anniversary on the 8th of November.
Hey, happy anniversary to the Bartels. 34, you said?
34, I believe.
Yeah, I already forgot that. Congratulations. I mean, 34. I mean, that's a long time together, and God bless your mom. Guys, we got a ton to talk about today. A lot of it has to do with the situation at hand, which is COVID, and the biggest one coming out, the governor presser at 5:30. There's a lot of people concerned about this because they pushed it back. EB, we're going to lean on you a lot today, just because you're our resident guru and expert of just general logic. So talk to me about, we talked in the pre-show about the governor intimidating people with these 5:30 press conferences, even though sometimes they're absolutely nothing. You feel like this could be something, knowing that the next conversation we're going to have is the basketball attendance and the limits that they're going to have on that. Do you think that is going to go into this speech tonight, or do you think it's going to be something, I hate to even say good news at this point?
I think it's just going to be him really reiterating, what a lot of coaches have heard this past week. If we continue to trend upward with the numbers where we're at for the next month, there will probably be shutdowns, and not just sports and whatnot, but they'll probably be looking into doing what they did this spring, just because you're starting to get to that threshold at the hospitals of where you're running out of room. So I think it's part of it. What a lot of people believe is it's for him to get his ratings and get in front of people. It's probably easier to get in front of people at 5:30 than it is 2. And then also kind of reiterate, like, hey, we're gonna go into this winter season planning to do so and so with capacities of 15% or 300 max, whichever is whatever is the lesser of the two, I guess you should say. And then the big emphasis on mask, and where we're at with all these counties color coding them, where now cases in the rural counties are higher than they are in the cities and whatnot. So I think it's just going to be touching a base on a lot of things, and I'm sure they'll throw in some sort of plan if there is a vaccine, or when a vaccine is released, kind of how they plan to go about that.
It's interesting you said that about the vaccine. Potesta was talking on his show earlier, right before the Power Hour, that, would you be willing to get the vaccine just to go to sporting events, and if it was a requirement? And in my case, not necessarily want the vaccine, but if it gets us in the door to announce the games, I mean, it's my livelihood. So yes. Where do you guys sit on the fence when it comes to this vaccine that is supposedly 90+% effective, I guess is the word, and clinically proven? So talk to me about where you're at. Is it a hard yes, hard no? And should people have to get vaccines in order to watch sporting events live? Billy, we'll start with you.
I'm not taking no vaccine. It's just that simple. I mean, I don't take a flu vaccine. I don't really care what anybody's opinions are on the show. I don't care if people come in and comment. I'm not getting one, and I have the right to do that, and that is my right as an American citizen, and I'm going to just basically stick to that. I mean, who knows if it actually is proven? I mean, who's to say? As of right now, it's not out, so we don't know, and how many people are they testing, and small sample sizes and all that. I think over time we'll tell. If I change my mind, I have the right to do so if I want to. But as of right now, I'm a hard no.
Ty, how about you? Do you feel like, if it was required to go watch a sporting event or go to a movie or go to dinner, would you utilize the vaccine, or would you say no? You're muted.
Every time for me, absolutely though, especially if it's been clinically proven. And and I am with Billy. I don't usually take like the flu vaccine, but I mean, if it's been clinically proven, and if it's like this is your ticket to back to normality, and you can go to like these sporting events, and you can go to the movies and kind of do things the way that we were doing them normally, absolutely, I'm going to take it if it means I can get back to what we were doing. And especially like you said, DJ, if it means that's my ticket to get in and calling games. Because I mean, like you, like Richie, like a lot of other guys that work for here, this is our livelihood, our future, the career path we want to go down. So I mean, whatever.
You're gonna carry a card. Hey, I got vaccinated.
It's gonna be
I don't know how they would do it. I mean, I don't know how they would do it.
Listen, I got one. Deal with it. Where's the circle dot?
Circle dot. Is that what you were? You got your cutie shot? Quinn, what about you? You feel like this is something that could be coming, and if it means that you get to coach and you get to broadcast and stuff like that, would you, from your standpoint, would you want to take one?
Yeah, so I have two ways to answer this. I mean, if it's required to like coach or to be the broadcasting and all that stuff, I'm going to do it. But if it's just to go watch a game, like, no, I'm not going to. I don't care. I'm not going to go watch a game or get COVID tested to go watch a game. I don't care enough. Plus, I could go watch it on Ysn Live if it's a high school game. So
that a boy, company man.
Then and keep that stick going up my nose.
Colin Chupa saying, yes, who wants to be the guinea pig with a vaccine? These things take years to develop. Glad it's available for those who feel safer with it, but we should not be mandated. And I agree with that. But I feel like knowing the government that we know oh so well, they're going to make things very difficult to get in without this COVID vaccine. Richie, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm forced to take it to get into ball games to announce, I'm going to have to do it. Would I take it without a penalty? No, I'm not going to take it. But yeah, like Ty said, like you said, I mean, it's if you got to do it, you got to do it. I mean, I can't not get into games. I can't call the game from my laptop or something.
We're getting there.
You could do that, but it's harder.
Let me work. Let me work around back to the top. EB, your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's one of those things. Would I take it if it's mandated for me to, I guess, coach? Like they're like, hey, you either can coach or you can't. Where you put me between a rock and a hard place, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. Like, here, you got to take this to live your everyday life. And me personally, I don't get the flu shot. I don't do these things. And so far, my success rate's been pretty well. Same with the success rate of surviving Corona is 99.97%, which not saying that it's not a real thing, not saying that it doesn't affect people. We all know that it does, but I don't like when people, if it's something that I want to do under my own free will, then I want to do it under my own free will. If it's something that you're going to regulate or mandate, so I have to do something that I enjoy and I'm passionate about, I don't know, man. That'd be tough. I don't need it to go to the movies or to, an Indians or Cavs games. I can watch those on TV and I'll gladly save the money doing so, just out of the entertainment thing. But, as far as if you made it something to where you had to do it, to where you had to coach, I would say I'd probably do, but I'm not sure. It's just I don't like where you give people a choice that you can or you can't do something under something that's so new.
Yeah,
and that's where I would be at too. Is this thing's been out for it's great. You have a 90% success rate of it. Well, I feel like there's different avenues, and it's going to take, the flu came out in 1918, and it took them 20-something years before they came up with a vaccine that still doesn't, prevent all influenzas. So you're telling me we can do it in 6 months, and then all of a sudden, this thing is not going to mutate. You're getting down a big political and path and everything else that I try to stay away from, as much as possible.
Timing is just really curious, right? I mean, everything's about timing in life, and the timing is just really curious. I'm not one that, I hate shots. I'm terrified of them. Pass out, my knees I lose the lower feeling of my body. So I'm not one that's going to willfully put my hand up in the air and say, hey, yeah, penetrate my skin with whatever you got in that little canister. Nothing about it sounds good to me. But that being said, if we've got to do it, I would do it in order to keep YSN chugging along. Like
the government telling us to how to do things.
I'm 35-0 the way I look at it. You know what I mean? I'm 35-0 against death. I've survived 35 plus years, and I'm hoping to go 36-0. And if this is going to help me get there successfully, with being a part of society, then whatever it takes. What was help me out here, because I can't remember for the life of me. Forget me not day. What was the name of the shot that we had to take like in 7th grade? Was that the MMR shots?
Yeah, measles, mumps, and rubella.
Yeah, so you have that we had to take in order to be in school or to play sports. I forget what it was for. I think it was sports. So I don't think this is much different from that standpoint. And I think that's the only thing I can compare it to, because I know that we weren't even allowed to practice until we had those papers turned in and we got the shots. Because my mom's a nurse. She came up, she snuck up on me because I refused to go get the shots. I was at the sink. She came up behind me with a needle, boom, right in my arm. got my shot. So we were good. I like lost feeling in my legs and almost passed out, but that's beside the point. But I think that, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions, and there already have been over the last 7 months. There's been a lot of tough decisions that people have had to make regarding, their personal comfort zones. So if it means that YSN survives, we can go do games. But like to Richie's point, there's a day coming where we're going to be able to do games from home and not even have to be at the actual physical stadium or the location. So we can already do it from some spots, and nobody would ever know the difference, other than we would be just completely blind to rosters if we didn't have them, or timeouts or anything that happened outside of the camera that we have. So the day's coming, but until then, unfortunately, we're at the mercy of all this stuff. Mr. Bartel saying a lot of vaccines were required to go to school in the 60s and 70s. Now most of those are eradicated because of it. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we were getting to. There's a lot of choices. I mean, there's a lot of choices, especially in this day and age. You have a choice to do everything, and that's called freedom a lot of times. And tomorrow we're going to celebrate some freedoms because of some people, and some great people that laid their life on the line, for better, for worse, for us. We'll get to that tomorrow with a special edition of Power Hour. But I will say this, guys, whatever Governor DeWine comes out and says tonight, it has very rarely favored sports, very rarely. So, and small businesses, and being a sports small business, I do have a little bit of concern. Mac, we talked about it before. If he shuts stuff down again, it already affected small businesses once, and this could be a turn for the worse on a lot of local businesses that are sponsors for us by ourselves. I mean, you look at this could be a really bad situation for a lot of people, not only in Ohio, but across America.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a death sentence for small business at this point. I mean, I really do. I think the ones that survived the valley here are, they're barely just getting by right now as it is. I don't think a second wave of a shutdown is going to do them any favors for sure. I think at that point they'll have to. They didn't raise enough capital for them to kind of put aside and get through the next couple months here. And this is supposed to be a big time of year. If you look in the valley where it comes, the holiday season where guys, families go out and they go shopping at the mall, go down to these, mom and pop stores. They trickle down into that, and they go to restaurants and small bars and restaurants. They go there, they go out to eat. I mean, that's the lifeblood of the valley. So small businesses is huge around here. So I don't think that it's going to be, the governor re-election is hard. If you do something like that where you shut down without a true cause, I just don't think that Corona is going to be enough of a reason for you to shut down venues like a small restaurant or a small bar. But I think what they might hit upon is like something like weddings, the sizes of weddings again. That might be, because I know that was one of his issues of things like too many people at these places. That's a big hot spot for the virus. That's things like those big events are something that he might kind of take away from tonight.
Let's check out Shauna Roberts here. She says, I know my business will not survive another shutdown. I'm interested to know, Shauna, we'll give you a free plug on the Power Hour here. What is your business? And we'll shout it out to make sure we can hopefully draw you some customers, whatever you do. Ty, your dad, you want to answer this one? Word is Struthers going back to online because too many COVID cases. Let me ask you this. We talked about small businesses. Can smaller schools survive being shut down again or having to go remote? Can schools continue to survive like this before somebody just comes out and says, hey, we're going to do an online school and regardless of where you go in the country, because I
think learning can't survive with just being remote. These kids had a hard time just educationally, just learning. There's a lot of teachers out there right now that feel like their kids are so behind because a lot of these kids had a hard time learning in April and they didn't progress themselves. They didn't get any smarter. So I don't know if learning is a place that you can just, parents have to work. They have to work. How are you supposed to stay at home and teach their kids? They don't know how to be a teacher. A lot of these parents don't know how to be, and that's fine. Okay. At some point, that's why we have the school system, because at some point you get them to maybe their ABCs and their letters and their numbers and some words, and then you push them to school and say, teach my kid, So,
well, not only that, but like socially, especially the younger kids, you're killing their social development because think about it, probably preschool through 4th, 5th, 6th grade is where they're most influenced by their friends and learn to socialize. That you take sports and education out of it. The second biggest thing you learn from education outside of school is socializing. So, I mean, not only that, and you throw in the added pressure on the parents, but also, it's accountability. Like you're taking away accountability from these kids as well too, because now it's more of a pass or fail school system than it is a grading system. It's just one of those things. Like there's so many little intricate things that go into a school system that makes it breed outside of just education, that you're killing the whole system and really the youth.
Shauna, responding to our call out, Quakertown Outlet in Salem, licensed sports items and military items, so much more, 277 East State Street in Salem. So make sure if you're in Quakertown, you stop by the Quakertown Outlet in Salem and check out Shauna's store. So it's very, very cool. I'm with you guys. I mean, schools, Ty, we'll give you a chance here, as we alluded to. Talk to me about the schools being able to survive this, whether it's high school, middle school, elementary school, or even preschool. I know socialization is a big part of what we do on a daily basis with the girls. I mean, can schools survive this? In the long run, even? I mean, and how much are they behind the 8 ball already to have to shut their doors and do things remotely?
Well, I definitely think it's going to hurt the preschools and elementary schools more than the middle and high schools, right? So I think like the preschools and elementaries are two things it's hard to do those online, because it's like the same curriculum that they're going to be able to learn online. It's almost the same thing as just like if you were to subscribe them to like ABC Mouse or whatever, like that's the same curriculum. So, I mean, they're not going to get the same experience as if they were going to an actual school. And like you said, that's a big part of socialization when they're younger. Middle and high school, it depends on how long it is. I mean, long term, if we're talking like another year, I do think that a middle school and a high school can survive remote learning with curriculum, because at this point, these kids they're old enough. And I mean, it is something that I think those kids could survive. Once you're at that like 12, 13, 14, and then throughout the high school years age range, you're able to do that remotely. Do I think remote learning is better than in-person learning? No, not at all. I hate it. I've been doing it this whole semester with Kent. I've never taken online classes before. I've always done in-person classes just because that's the type of person I am. I'd rather do an in-person class than remote learning, because I feel like it's so much easier to get distracted and get behind remote learning wise. But it is something that I've been able to survive, at least. So I think that kids can survive. It's not going to be easy. It's definitely going to be a lot harder. I'm actually more worried about sports in general with these schools, because sports are the thing that if they're not creating revenue, the sports aren't going to happen. And if fans aren't there, they're not getting much revenue. So
vice versa.
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing. And I mean, with companies like us, I mean, we help those schools out, and we give them a bump, and that's kind of like their life support. We're helping them survive, and I think we definitely helped. We helped out the football season a little bit, but long term, you're talking about doing this multiple seasons. It's something where a lot of those smaller schools, they're not going to be able to make the sports happen, and you're going to have to abandon some sports, and that's what I'm more worried about. Not necessarily the curriculum, because I think curriculum you could adjust and make things work for as long as you need to make it work. It's not going to be easy, like I said, but as far as sports are concerned, that's where I'm concerned of things kind of falling off the cliff.
What's crazy is I think there's going to be at least one school that they'll have more of a percentage, or not even percentage, more of a revenue generator from YSN than they do the actual gate from their football season this year. And that's not good. And people are going to point the finger at us and say, oh, well, that's because no. Those people were not going anyway. You know what I mean? That's been our discussion the entire time. They can't go, so they have to use us. That's the difference. And now the more that YSN is around and streaming continues to evolve and 5G coming, we are going to be the norm. For the longest time, we were not the norm. We were kind of this anomaly for teams. So when I look at, Quinn and Richie, you guys are a little bit younger than me and Mac and EB. So talk to me about where you see the biggest discrepancy for sports moving forward in the COVID era, so to speak, and can sports survive and for how long? Quinn, we'll start with you.
You kind of broke up on that. What was the actual the first part of that? I heard the sports surviving part.
Can sports survive and for how long?
Yeah, sports will survive. I mean, there's always the need to play sports. And I mean, as long as if people are willing to go out there and coach it, I think sports will survive. And I mean, it's one of those things I don't know. I feel like it's going to survive regardless. Sports will.
Richie?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. It just really depends on how long this COVID thing lasts. I think the bigger schools are always going to be able to survive, and that's just how it is, just because of how much money they get from their boosters. They have bigger sponsors, and that's just the way of the world. But when you're talking smaller schools that we cover, like Division 7, Division 6, that don't have the big booster clubs, that don't have the alumni that donate, you don't know how long they're going to last. With COVID and not allowing gate revenue and, YSN, of course, we contributed 20% of that, which helps them out. But can that 20% get them through their program? Not everybody. So I think it just really depends on how long this COVID thing continues to really affect the programs.
We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about COVID, but in a different light, because the OHSAA last night had a call with a lot of coaches, EB being one of them, and they're putting a limit on basketball attendance. What is it going to be, and what does it mean for you? Plus, we're going to talk about Big Ben. He's now in COVID protocol after we had the discussion yesterday about his knee. Shut up, Mac. And we're also going to talk about fans at Duke and if they're going to be able to see anything on the floor at Cameron this year. We'll be back with more right here on the YSN Power Hour, brought to you by our great sponsors such as DEL.
DEL Lift Rentals and Sales is locally owned and operated with over 30 years experience. We specialize in lifts of all types and sizes, including forklifts, scissor lifts, and boom lifts. We offer low rates and long-term rentals, as well as fast on-time delivery, often free in the local area. We also sell a variety of used equipment. Visit us at WeRentLifts.com or at 7891 Southern Boulevard in Boardman. Or by phone at 330-549-0855.
DEL is your local lift expert.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you, as well as Mac. We've got Jeff Betos, kind of. Then we got Ty, Quinn, and Richie. Jeff, what's going on?
Just business, baby.
He's muted. While Jeff's away, for those of you who did not see the Springfield game this weekend, we were able to upload the call as well as the great video from Channel 21 WFMJ and Josh Fitch. So sit back and enjoy this one.
Yema coming in motion. Brungart's going to be a reverse play. Back to Brungard, looking for Yama. Touchdown Springfield with 5 seconds remaining. Lucas Yama caught it in the end zone on the reverse. What a play. Springfield takes the lead. Oh my goodness. What a play. The fireworks are going off. Oh my goodness.
Wow, I mean, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Wow. The pure guts that it takes to go with that play. 11 seconds remaining. I mean, that's just so gutsy.
I love it. I love it. Can't get enough of that. We'll go to the Warren JFK side here in just a little bit, guys. But before we get back to football, let's get to basketball a little bit here. The OHSAA puts a limit on basketball attendance. Maximum is going to be 300. However, it's going to be 15%. That number that the OHSAA and everybody seems to be stuck on is 15%. EB, you were on the call last night. First off, how did it go? What was the tonality of it? And then secondly, what does this mean for the basketball season?
The tone of it, let's see, it was pessimistically optimistic. Husted is a big sports guy, so obviously he wants to see everything happen as much as possible. Really, they're going to limit the number of fans, whether it's 15% or 300 being the max. So even some of these bigger facilities, Struthers Fieldhouse, you take the Cab over in Salem, Austintown Fitch, that can hold, whatever it is, 5,000 or 3,500 or whatnot. They're going to limit 300 no matter what. They will allow cheerleaders, and also it'll be up to the schools if they want pep bands or not, but those pep bands go towards the number of that 300 max. So it's really, the rundown was just, the number of fans that you can have, what happens if your school is remote or not. Essentially, even if your school is remote, it's going to be up to the school district if they're going to continue on with sports or not. And then really it touched base on what happens if a player tests positive for COVID, and really, they have to quarantine 14 days and they can only come back under the release of a doctor. So really that was just the base of it all. And then, they did a little Q&A, which a lot of the question and answers were just typical. They really answered before you could get there or come up with any questions. They answered a lot of questions before they could be asked. So it's just going to be one of those things, they said it might not be a long-term thing. It's just because, football was outside. So you could allow more fans because you had more space. Now that you're getting into basketball, you're confined more or less into a box or a building. So some of these larger places, it's not saying that they might not look into allowing more fans later on down the road, but to start things out, it's going to be 300 max no matter what.
Is that, when you hung up the phone last night, did you walk away feeling confident that this was going to be an okay thing, or did you feel like we haven't made any progress since August?
Did I feel confident we will have a season? Yes, I'm confident we'll start and have a season. Getting into these winter months and even like they said, as people kind of go or go indoors a lot more and you're confined a lot more, it could get a little interesting. We've even seen in the past couple of weeks here with the weather, it was 35 a couple weeks ago. Now it's 80 today. And, we're going to drop down to 50, whatnot, to where everyone's allergies, sinuses, everything's going to just, it's going to be a perfect storm with Mr. Sniffles over here, Matt. Our little fireface friend. But it's, I'm confident we're going to have a season. hopefully everyone does at least the right thing. And that was a big thing is, as a coach and preach to these players, you can't control everyone, but, at least be the leaders of the community and, keep things going for these kids because we get it. Everyone is tired of the face mask. Everyone's tired of these restrictions. But if it I'm one of them. I hate wearing a mask to coach in. But if it means that I still have the ability to coach, then I'm all for it. And to answer Brandon, well, the schools and or conferences pick 2 tickets. It's going to be up to the schools. So, I mean, I think what football was, home teams got 4 tickets per student and away got 2. I'm sure it's going to be, I can't speak for the schools or conferences how they're going to divvy that up, but I'm going to imagine it's going to be much the same because, think of a basketball team. The average team is about 20 players. So you have 4 per the home teams. That's going to be 80 tickets. And then you throw in, 2 per the away team. You're looking at 120 right there, throwing coaches, cheerleaders, whatnot. You're going to have to set aside probably 150, 175 tickets per organizations. And then, a lot of these schools, they have season ticket holders. So you got to figure out what to do with that as well. So it's just one of those things. There's a lot of questions that you're going to have to try to answer moving forward, and you're going to have to do it on the fly.
I'll ask this to the entire group. Do you guys feel like it's going to be a tough call to tell a group of cheerleaders or the pep band or season ticket holders that they can't essentially go to the basketball games because the parents need the tickets? Do you think that's going to be tough?
It's going to be a conversation you don't want to have. I mean, I would hate to be an athletic director right now. The emails and the calls and, they're getting every penny that they're worth this year. So I think the toughest thing is going to be your season ticket holders, especially some of these season ticket holders that have had tickets for, decades. And now you might have to pick and choose.
Don't you think those guys will be understanding though to a degree? Like, hey, we got to let if you're a season ticket holder at Bax Baseball Academy, I would think that they would be sympathetic to the idea of letting their parents go watch their kids play over you.
Yeah, how sympathetic we've had these conversations at late night in Think Tank. How sympathetic have the fans been this year for football?
We just had someone miss 34 seconds and they weren't sympathetic that they got to watch the last 10, the most important.
Oh, I'm just talking about over a parent seeing their kid play. I mean, if they were to only come out and say, "Oh, we're only allowing parents to come in and watch these guys play," and no outside spectators are going to go, I mean,
I think it's the 80-20 rule. I think a lot of it comes down to the 80-20 rule. 80% of people will be understanding. The 20% will complain and be a 5-alarm fire for these ADs. But realistically, it's the 80% that'll stay silent. You know what I mean? Because they know they're doing the right thing, and the 20% will light the world on fire and call attention to themselves and call attention to the school. I've been a season ticket holder for. Listen, that's very, very great of you, and trust me, the schools and the athletic directors and the programs certainly appreciate it. But we're playing by different rules right now. I mean, you're talking about a parent who could potentially miss their kid's game. That's their child. If I know from my standpoint that if my child was playing, I'm going to be at that game. And if they get hurt, I'm going to be the first one rushing to the floor, or at least, to get a better look at, are they okay? And I'm sorry that you're a season ticket holder and again, fantastic, but you're not going to come to my kid's aid. You're not going to be at my kid's wedding or whatever. And you're not going to be on my deathbed and say, I wish I would have, went to more of my kids' games. Like, that is my biggest thing. That's a concern.
To answer Mac, I don't think you'll see too much of a problem if they say, no season ticket holders, we're only giving it to parents, because that's a black and white. That's a hard line. I think what will happen though is where you run into the problems is if you let this season ticket holder go and this one doesn't get to go, because then it's going to sit there. Well, how do you determine, Sally Joe over there gets to go, but Jimmy John doesn't get to? I've been a season ticket holder for 40 years. They've been one for 41. That's where that line in the sand gets really, really blurry.
I think the biggest problem you're going to see is basketball parents, athletes, student athletes that are there, right? So you're talking about basketball, wrestling, swimming, which, by the way, swimming has no spectators at all, 0. So keep that in mind. When this 15% of 300 or 50% of whatever, or 300 max is in effect, is at least you get to see your kid play. But I think the biggest thing, guys, is you look at cheerleading parents. Cheerleading is a sport. It's an activity, and so is pep band. And people will pay to see their kid play in the pep band, and they will pay to see their kid be a cheerleader. So I mean, how are you, EB, to your point? How are we or ADs going to handle it when there's more than one sport going on, or more than one activity going on in one particular gymnasium?
Right. I mean, that's going to be up to the school, and that's probably not a discussion that I want to have. And how do you sit there and say, okay, cheerleaders are okay, but the pep band isn't, or the pep band, especially when it's going to your capacity, it's going towards your 300 person capacity. So who's clicking things?
What is that noise? Not me.
But I mean, it's one of if it's going towards the capacity, that's tough to, especially so you look at a game like the Salem West Branch girls, which is a big rival, and it's always a packed gymnasium. And so do you sit there and do you want part of the atmosphere of having your pep band there, or do you want the ticket sales because it's going to be a hot item ticket? I wouldn't want to be these superintendents. I wouldn't want to be these principals and athletic directors. They definitely have their work cut out, and unfortunately, they're going to have to make some tough choices.
Do you think it would be easier to, since they already had the football season, since you had the pep band, and since you had the cheerleaders that were able to participate in that, do you think it'd be easier to be like, well, since we all have to make sacrifices, I mean, you guys were able to do your thing for football, we're going to have to make sacrifices?
It's not a road that I would want to go down.
Nope.
I mean, they tried to do it in football, and look what happened. So you do that in basketball, because pep band is different than marching band. And some of these kids get credit to be in pep band or in the band. So, now you're talking graduation stuff. Like you can't sit there and pick and choose, you can, but it's just
not a road you want to go down.
Yeah, it's not a fight that you want to fight.
All right, here's a question for you.
Makes sense. Listen, it's a sport. Okay, the root of the sport, the reason why we're all here gathering today is because of the sport of basketball. So if you're not a basketball member, then you're out. It's that simple.
It's not that simple.
It's that simple. Black and white. Make it as black and white as you possibly can, and that's how you do it.
It's simple at Max Baseball Academy, but Max Baseball Academy is not a school.
True that. It should be, though.
I love you and I respect you, Mac, as much as anybody else. But I have a feeling if you were an AD in this situation and you had 20 parents march to your door and pound on your door saying, how are you going to not let my senior cheerleading daughter have her senior year, especially because not all schools, and this happened more and more, are football and basketball cheerleaders. Sometimes there's football cheerleaders, sometimes there's basketball cheerleaders, and so on. So how would you explain that to dad or mom who wants their kid to have their moment too?
Fine. We'll cancel basketball. Now you can't cheer.
And then you have to answer the superintendent as to why you don't have revenue.
Talk to the cheerleading coach and the parents that wanted to do that.
So if I give you $1, you're just going to keep passing it around.
Yep, I'm pretty good at it.
I don't think it's a good situation for anybody. I think the athletic directors are back in the jackpot, so to speak.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're going to already lose, then pick the.
I got to be honest. I still think to this point, and I'm calling my shot here a little bit, and I could be completely off, but I think in 2 weeks, the governor's going to preface it tonight, but I think in 2 weeks, you're going to see basketball get moved to after the first of the year. I think it's going to be an OHSAA thing. It's going to be with the cooperation of the governor. They're going to move basketball back to January 1st and shorten the season, because at this point it doesn't make any sense to either postpone the season or cancel the season altogether, because you still have 2 more weeks of revenue generation for the OHSAA. And they're not, we know so well that they're not going to give in at all. Because in case you missed it, they raised ticket prices this weekend to $15 a pop. So just beware that in 2 weeks, I think we're going to see, and if you haven't figured this out, and again, this is me being a one of those conspiracy theorists, that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're going to see basketball season go pushed to January 1st. And they're going to blame COVID, but they would have known this all along, because it's out there too much smoke out there about this right now, that there has to be some fire somewhere.
My only problem with that, though, is if you do that, you'll have some girls programs who have 3 or 4 games in already. Right, and that'll be tip-off for a lot of boys, as the 27th is the first official day. But by the 28th, you have, like, if our schedule would have held true, that would have been our 3rd game.
So let me ask you this. Do you think it comes before 2 weeks?
I mean,
do you think it comes on that Thursday prior to?
I think what they'll do is, I don't think they'll push sports back, but what they'll do is they might say all schools go remote.
I still don't understand the difference in that. I mean, the contact's in sports, not in the classroom. So it's going to be an interesting. I mean, I don't want to
limiting the spread at the school. You're limiting the spread, I guess, would be the idea. Is in case you get it, you're limiting the spread.
But you're still in your.
It doesn't prevent it, of course.
But you're eliminating the spread from non-athletes to athletes.
So the athletes are taking the risk, kind of.
Yeah, but the athletes have already been together the whole time, anyways.
Again, I don't think I could. Again, not a doctor, but I would rather have my community together from that standpoint. If we're running away from COVID, if we're really protecting our people, then sports doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because you've got one community facing another community, but they're not allowed to go to school in their own community. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, the math just doesn't add up.
I just don't think. I think the OHSAA will sit there and they will push for sports, because they're so afraid right now, because they're walking on eggshells. If they get rid of basketball season, or we'll say about anything like that, everyone will just flip over and go to non-scholastic sports. They'll go to club sports.
See, you say they're walking on eggshells, yet they carry their boys around in a wheelbarrow every week. I mean, just when you think they can't get any more ballsy, they raise ticket prices. I mean, they moved the championship game.
There's no competitiveness to football.
That's
like, they're not going to go. Yeah,
football's their control. There's no club football around here, but basketball, you think you cancel or you put these seasons back in basketball. Clubs will just come and say, yeah, forfeit your OHSAA eligibility. Let's just start club.
I mean, you think that ADs aren't pissed right now? You think ADs aren't like, listen, we're like 2 steps away from just saying, we'll just make up our own stuff. And if we can't compete for a state championship, oh, well. I've heard it. I've heard ADs say that. And yeah, they got them by the boys. They got them right around their neck. And I got to be honest with you, when you look at this, it is not a good look. Like, the OHSAA literally is just walking around giving the finger to everybody on a weekly basis. And it's like, they don't care who you are, what you think, what you do. They're going to do what they want, and you're going to like it. And they continue to press the envelope here and press the issue of we're going to have our championship series is going to be held at a site that's not even really a football site, to the point where Cheney and East couldn't have their home games because it was all one side of the field. And that's where we're going to hold our championship games, is on a stadium that has one side of the field.
They could have picked South Range as their place to play a state championship. It would have been better.
I don't disagree.
I'm not disrespecting South Range. I'm just saying how terrible the location is for the state championship game.
I'm not a fan of one-sided stadium. I don't. It comes off as tacky. It comes off as a money grab, because it probably cost. I mean, Potesta just at will completely bashed the OHSAA for playing football on a Sunday, which I don't necessarily condone. But if you're in a state championship, I don't care what day of the week it is, I'm playing. I don't care if it's a Sunday at midnight. Let's go. But that's not the point. The point is Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I was probably rented out for horse racing or something.
They rented it out for a weekend, so they're going to make the best out of this weekend. We got these two idiots down below that are texting back and forth with each other.
Who?
You two, giggling.
I'm just laughing at myself.
You're a liar.
I was
not.
Pepsi.
I guarantee there's a text message. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's get to our G-Burger Farm.
Nothing derails a full-blown conversation that what are you doing texting? Give me your phone till the end of class.
It pisses me off. Like, you're down there giggling like two schoolgirls. Got Ginger and the Beast down there. So, all right, let's
I'll take that.
Let's go to our G-Burger Farms. What's your beef? First off, any last comments on this OHSA putting a limit on basketball attendance? All right, let's go to our
not surprised.
G-Burger Farms. What's your beef? Let's start off with Giggles McGugan down there, Richie Giuliano.
I have no beef. I have no beef.
Let's see. I mean, I guess like I don't want to be that guy that calls out Ocean and all that stuff, because I just don't want to be that guy. But I guess I'll go with them. I mean, just if you're going to make a decision quicker. Don't be mid-season again. Don't do something like that. Just make a decision, please.
My beef's with people that are supposed to be for the kids and are truly for profit. That's it.
My beef is with college coaches who reach out to players who are trying to get recruited, who want information on opposing players and use that player or said player to try to get information on them. Just reach out to the player that you want. It's a simple. Don't be a scumbag.
My beef is with the University of Notre Dame. You're supposed to be this elaborate, winning program, and yet you raided the field. You beat a team without its best player, okay? Without its best player. Heisman Trophy candidate, probably likely to be the first overall pick, and you're out here celebrating like you did something, okay? I know you got to play the team you play, but let's not get over a little too crazy here and sit there and think that, this is the first time we did this. Well, actually, it's been a long time for Notre Dame to be any good. As an Ohio State fan, we're kind of used to winning big games, although we do lose our fair share of bad ones. So, yeah, Notre Dame.
Jody Hollabaugh asking where the JFK highlights are. Funny you asked that, Jody, because they are right here. Don't go anywhere. My beef coming up right after this.
Left side, Sauter looking for some space. He's not going to get it. The Blue Storm prevails. First down, JFK, and a big stop to start on defense. The middle finds his man. Oh, this ball's up in the air. Oh, the catch! Green down the right sideline. Oh, baby, takes it out of bounds. Cam waits for the snap. He takes it. Left side, he's going to try to scramble. He is met. He stiff arms a man to the 20-yard line. Hollabaugh bumps his way down to the 15. Handoff up the middle. Cam Hollabaugh Touchdown, Eagles!
Jumping right over the line from the handoff by Bruce, going up the middle, taking 6.
Holloway takes a snap, 5-step drop, steps up, fires over the middle. He's got a man. Kudo, wide open, touchdown! Big time touchdown, a 33-yard strike from Cam Hollabaugh to Kudo. Right, Likens to the left of Cam. Calls for the snap, he's going to go right up the middle. Quarterback draw, there goes Hollabaugh. See you later, buddy. 51 yards, Cam Hollabaugh to the house. House call, reservation for 6 under the name Hollabaugh.
He's been waiting for that all game.
Eagles advance to the state semis. It's the team of destiny, and you can see them right here on YSN next week.
From
a little commercial in at the end as well. I had to cut that out. My beef, guys, it's simple. I guess it's simple and it's complex. I'm really trying to understand how things are broken down at the state level for tickets. I'm trying to figure out, because it was brought to my attention earlier that the number 1 seed in Division 6, at least for us, from a regional championship standpoint, we're giving a third of the tickets to the game. Would make sense to me that they get 50% of the tickets to be distributed to a state semifinal game, given the fact that, I don't know, they've got to drive about 2.5 hours to get there. So luckily, and thankfully, I should say, Springfield was able to get the other side of the chip, so to speak, and now they're up to 50-50 split for tickets. So just another way of the OHSA, in my opinion, just kind of sticking it to this area a little bit, just a little bit further. And it's a little bit frustrating. I mean, obviously, the closer you get to Columbus, the better relationship you're going to have. We understand that, but give us a little bit. You know what I mean? If that's a number 1 seed, you're only going to give a third of the tickets to them, and sorry about your luck. No, I'm not buying it. I mean, at some point, it has to be about the kids. It has to be about the coaches. It has to be about the families, the schools, the communities, and continually and almost blatantly, this organization just absolutely spits in the face of everybody else in order to get the almighty dollar. And I'm getting really sick of it. I'm getting really tired of it, because it's all about the kids. That's what it's supposed to be about. And not to pat ourselves on the back, but what are you doing other than collecting paychecks each and every week? It's frustrating at this point. You know, Tim Street is a fantastic PR person, and he continues to spin an unbelievable job for the OHSAA. My goodness, anybody else in that position would be pulling their hair out, because every decision you make is a self-righteous decision that you pat yourselves on the back on and just continue to cash checks on your own behalf. So congratulations for that. Congratulations. You finally made a right move because you got caught. So hats off to you. And I hope you continue to do things the right way, because it's all about the kids. So that's my beef. Brought to you by G. Burbick Farms in Columbiana on New Buffalo Road. You can visit them on the web, gburbickfarms.com. Open this Saturday from 10 to 4. So make sure you get your fix of the best beef this side of the Mississippi. Boys, any last thoughts? Aaron chiming in. 2 SEC games postponed, LSU, Bama, and Tennessee and Texas A&M. So keep that in mind. That's going to do it for our show today. Tune in tomorrow. Scotty will be with us, and we will talk all local sports and more on the YSN Power Hour. Thanks for being with us.